Hey, this is my recording for my, I believe, fourth log, since PL is counted as number one. I got a little confused with the numbers, but my fourth and final log for practicum. So starting off, I have finished, which is really crazy. I really liked my time in the ED, and I hope that someday I can get back into emergency medicine, because I just thought the pace was really cool and I learned a ton. I got a gift from my preceptor. I got her a Starbucks gift card and I got her some flowers. And I wish that I could have done so much more for her because she taught me so much. But she ended up getting me a gift too, which was really sweet, which is what I'm going to count as my creative piece. And so she got me this little badge reel, which is like a sunflower, and then it has this extra little piece that has a stethoscope and some other little charms, and it was so sweet. And she was like, oh, and then she also got me some trauma shears, which are really cool. And she said, I normally don't do this much for my students, but I just really thought you were awesome. And so that meant a lot to me. It meant a lot that she got me anything at all, because I wasn't expecting anything from my preceptor. She was the one who put in all the time and energy and dedication to having me, an extra set of hands, an extra, sometimes burden on her work schedule, week after week. So I just really, really appreciate her and everything that she did for me. And the unit as a whole, the other nursing students on the unit and I got together. So there were 3 or 4 JMU students, and then myself and Frances Liu were on the unit, and we all coordinated to get bagels for the unit to kind of say thank you for letting us be there and dragging us into rooms when they thought that something cool was happening. So they just treated us really, really well. For more of the discussion piece of this log, my last few shifts I ended up having a lot of stroke patients, which was really interesting. Kind of identifying where the stroke was, because they didn't necessarily meet, or if it was a TIA, because they didn't necessarily meet the be fast, maybe their balance was fine, but just other things were a little bit off. One of the patients, we asked, where are you? And she knew she was in the hospital. She knew her name and date of birth. But then we asked, what year is it? And she got really confused and said 2003. So she kind of knew, as she was saying it, she knew the 3 part, but she didn't really know what year it was. And then later when she told her husband, or when she asked her husband, he told her 2023. And then she corrected herself the next time we asked. But other stroke patients, it was just interesting to see kind of not those typical or cliche things in stroke patients. So raising both their arms, having that strength, raising both legs and having strength there, but then having memory impairment or just feeling off. And I thought it was really cool that the unit, or just really impactful that nurses are taking even those things into such high consideration for these patients, because something little like that being off and knowing okay, I should go into the emergency room, I don't feel right, is so significant and needs to be taken so seriously. Because I guess other patients that we had weren't necessarily faking a stroke, but maybe didn't necessarily know what it meant to have a stroke. We had a patient who was fully cognizant, totally balanced. He just felt off, and so came into the emergency room. And I don't really fully know what happened to him, but it was just interesting to see. I think something was elevated. One of his labs was very elevated, and so he ended up getting a bed because something was off, but it wasn't a stroke happening. And so the intuition of a patient and their own thoughts and feelings can count so much towards what they need, towards their care. Some other things that happened, we had a patient who had perfect like symptoms. I guess perfect is not the right word, but like the textbook case of appendicitis. And then after doing a CT scan, the results came back and it didn't say appendicitis, but the doctors or the physicians, not the CT radiologists, I guess, they said, like, this is so textbook appendicitis that we're gonna go ahead and like that might not be, I don't know how to explain this well, but like they like knew that it was appendicitis even if the CT came back and like didn't say, like the appendix was so inflamed. So I thought that was kind of interesting that like even a textbook case might not show up the same in their like scans or imaging, which was like really, you would think that a textbook case would also show up textbook in the scans or imaging. So I don't know. Another patient, or we had a couple of patients who were like very severely like altered mental status, and I don't know the full ins and outs of what happened to those patients, but we had this poor, very confused old lady who I think they suspected some type of stroke because she like had been very cognizant and very oriented prior to coming to the emergency department, and we had her in a stretcher. And something I didn't realize until this happened is that there are no bed alarms on the stretchers in the emergency department. A lot of the rooms have like clear doors and what's called curtains, and we'll shut the curtain or we'll shut the like clear door if we want to keep watch of them. But this patient ended up being in a red room, which is facing the opposite way and down in a different hallway, and we had her in the bed. Both of the side rails were up because she had altered mental status, was very confused, and had probably started sundowning at some point during the day. And she had we had raised the knees of the bed. She had scooched herself all the way to the edge, like to the foot of the bed, because there's no block for the foot of the bed. And I walked into the room just to check on her, and she was sitting at the foot of the bed, like ready to get up, and said, "I have to pee," which was really, really scary. And I'm so grateful that she did not get up. But it was just crazy to think that something like a bed alarm could have prevented that, or just like closer watch or putting her closer to the nurse's station. But it was like the room that she was in was not appropriate for her, acuity or level of care. And they thought that she was going to get a room earlier upstairs, or she was going to be transported earlier, but just ended up being that way. And then it was really sweet. So my nurse and I ended up taking her to MRI, and she was on a heart rate drug. I want to say carbamazepine or carbamazepine, something along those lines. Anyways, so my nurse had to stay with her during the MRI, just to like watch and monitor for signs and symptoms. And so she had to sit with her during the MRI, and I ended up leaving because we took the patient to MRI around like 6:30. So I went back to the unit to help out where I could, and then the MRI took longer than the 30 minutes till the end of the shift. And so I guess when the patient came out of MRI, she looked at my nurse and said, "Where's the other nurse?" and was talking about me, which was so sweet. So Kelsey, my preceptor, said that, or mentioned the story the next day, and she was like, "You're already a nurse if people are asking about you like that," which was really, really sweet. And for a patient with altered mental status to remember me is kind of crazy. But yeah, the patient was very, very adorable, just wanted crackers the whole day long that she had brought to the hospital by herself in her bag. Just really precious and needed to pee probably every 5 minutes. So I'm sure, those are more so the patients that you see on a med-surg unit or other, upstairs units in the hospital and not the emergency department. But sometimes those are the ones that I love having in the emergency department, because it kind of breaks the pace of having, 55-year-old man with chest pain and little old ladies who come in on stroke alerts, or whatever else is happening. And then one last cool story, we had a patient who had a dislocated patella, and they came in and used they them pronouns, and the mom was there and really advocated for this patient using they them pronouns, but the unit acted really weird about it, which was really frustrating because I just always want to be an advocate for patients and like how they want to be addressed, and advocating for their health, but like their overall health includes like their identity. And so it was really frustrating to walk out of this patient's room and then hear a conversation among the nurses, you know, how does he want to be called, or what does she have going on, and having to like make those spot corrections to a group of nurses who are much older than me. And maybe it's a generational thing as well, but that was a really frustrating day, and I hope that I was able to provide good care for the patient, because as soon as the mom said, you know, oh, this is blank and they use they them pronouns, I was very quick to go, oh, like, I'm so sorry if we've been calling you otherwise. Like, please advocate for yourself and let us know what to call you. Like, don't tell anybody to call you otherwise. Like, that is the name that's listed in your chart, and we can associate those pronouns in your chart as well. Because I know how to do that in Epic for sure. But you can always leave a comment on Meditech, which is Augusta's program. So lots of ways to like address that and make sure that the whole medical team or like care team like is aware of those patients' needs relating to their identity. So just wanted to mention that. Kind of made me frustrated about the community hospital setting, but overall I had such an amazing time at Augusta, and I learned so much, and I saw so much, and I really honed in my IV skills. My nurse was complimenting me by the end, saying like, you're getting pretty good at those. So that was a huge confidence boost, because I think day one she was like, we're gonna try to do as many IVs as possible, and I got really scared because I had only done one before then. So but yeah, I really enjoyed my practicum, and this is my last log, so I'll be turning in my exemplar very soon.